pulling the camera out of the game.
Yeah.
Whoa, where are we going? Where are we going?
Wow. What did we just do? That was amazing.
Yeah, we sloppily pulled the GoPro out of the game.
But who cares?
Of the crew.
The crew.
We saw
Hi,
the
guys.
crew. We're recording.
Yeah, we are. We had a preview event where we were playing on consoles now. We've been playing the beta for a while. The beta's been available on PC since, I think, July. So we went through a couple game modes here. Obviously, what they started us off with was like some car customization, which a lot of people have probably seen before. You have your typical missions, your delivery missions without damaging a car. You have your race missions, which is just your typical street races. You have outrun, which you outrun the cops. Maybe protect the VIP. Takedown, which you and I play, which, man, they have those in the beta, but they are freaking hard.
We saw 2 takedown missions. Yeah. One of them started off on top of the Utah Olympic Park, presumably.
Yes.
120-kilometer ski jump. And all the cars jumped off. So, this gives you an example of how the crew's sensibilities are. They're very...
It's
out
arcadey.
Of this world.
It's ridiculous and arcadey. Yeah, it looks fun though. It looks cool. It was running well on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
It's one of those. But that takedown mission, it just
is hard.
It's very difficult. It's tough. It's like it reminds me of Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, where you're you have to damage those guys. And I felt like in that game you could pretty much. You could catch up with them and screw them up pretty good.
This one, you're going through the forest on the snow.
You're hitting trees. You're hitting houses.
My parents' house probably got hit. I think you got my dog there.
And then we did the I call it the Terminator 2 level, where we're in the ditch, the canals of LA. Trying to knock over a bus,
freeing some prisoners or something. Yeah, that's kind of the story mode mission.
It's nuts. That of course it's fun. You also have your raids and your collect missions, which we do. We're driving around this hill countryside, trying to run over drug packages.
Yeah, you just kind of had to tap these rubber packages. They fell out of an airplane apparently that were smuggling. Anyway,
yes, and they're all over the place.
They're all over.
Whoever was delivering that supply really fucked up.
Yeah, they dumped lots of drugs all over wine country.
Yeah, and then I think we went off. We went through the different performances. You have your different specs, right? You have your street, your dirt, which is your rally car, which is kind of what we're looking at right now.
Because a lot of the races, a lot of them were dirt roads.
Yeah.
Like this. So you had to spec out your. What is this?
This is a Nissan Z. You had to spec it out and kind of give it some off-road tires and some capabilities. Obviously, you can see it's insanely hard to control. That was the one thing I just noticed about this game was that it was insanely difficult to control this car because you are going through 5 different specifications and everything is so different that when you go from circuit to raid to performance to street,
or whatever that was.
Yeah, it just gets kind of crazy. So that's gonna take some time getting used to.
I felt like the rear wheels, and I'm sure a lot of people have this from the beta, are just marbles because the cars go like this. They turn.
It's squirrely.
It's squirrely.
It's really squirrely, and that's what's so weird about it. It feels like an arcade game, an arcadey racer. If you played Test Drive Unlimited, on 360 or PS1, PS2, whatever, the guys at Eden, they made. And that's who a lot of these guys are that are from Ivory Tower making the crew. This is kind of the spiritual successor of Test Drive Unlimited, where you're. There's so many RPG elements in this game. They're obviously trying to make this a role-playing racer, which is cool. And then they showed off the 4v4 PvP, which is where you and your crew challenge another crew, to various races. It can be the takedown missions. It can be a lot of different things. And so I like how the in 4 versus 4 in your crew faction or whatever, they have you have a weighted score, right? So for example, me and Andy, we had a developer on our team who finished first, but me and Andy finished in dead last, but we still tied because he carried us throughout the entire mission. The other thing they really focused on was factions. They kind of went into detail about what factions are, and it's really interesting. It kind of reminds me of PlanetSide 2, where you have your different factions. And at some point during the story missions, you'll be able to join one of 5 factions in the game. It's like choosing Horde and Alliance, except there's 5 of them,
Okay.
And they have control over different parts of the country. And
is that based on to get control? If you belong to that faction, you do missions, right?
Yes, you do faction-based missions. They can be multiplayer, they can be single player, but you earn reputation by doing these missions, and therefore you make your faction stronger. And it's interesting. They went over some details about how to balance this out and whatnot. Obviously there were concerns about hey, what's going to prevent people from just joining the most popular faction and just kind of taking over the country. But the thing is, you're not going to get a lot of rep points unless you're the best in your faction. So if you're really competitive and there's like a lot of good racers on your particular faction, it may entice you to switch over to a different faction where you're a much bigger fish in a smaller pond, essentially. You know, like you're taking on more responsibility, but you're also reaping those rewards.
Yeah, and the rewards for having control as a faction, you get like specialized parts. You get platinum tuner parts and stuff like that, and more money.
Yeah, you get more money. You get a better. You get a better car, essentially.
Yeah,
it was interesting. You know, they talked about how they want this game to last a long time. They want people to continue to play the crew for years to come.
And it certainly has a huge world that I'm like, that's its main draw. Once you get good enough at the game, I assume these missions will last hours, or potentially could. And they even mentioned that they want to have a plan that if you want to be dedicated, you could have a 3-hour mission. Now, I don't know if
it's nuts.
Anyone's going to go through with that. And if you hit a tree like once, you're basically
and it's like that's like their version of like the raid, right? Like, it's like these insanely long 3-hour missions, and obviously that's to be like seen. We haven't even seen one of those yet, but you know, I mean, I think for those that are fans of Test Drive Unlimited, that are fans of that like series and that pedigree of an arcadey type racer, I think you'll enjoy this. You know,
you're not tied into just one type of driving.
No, you have like 5, including the stock model of the car that you purchase, and so like again, I think that's the challenge, and that's also kind of the fun of the game, is you're going to be able to spec your car out, you know, obviously per race, and find out what exactly you need your car to be and what it to do, and you look at these models and you can just do some crazy stuff with your car. So come join me and Andy Bauman's crew.
Are we gonna be the crocodiles?
We're gonna call it Snow.
Oh.
And we're gonna have the theme song Informer. Okay. Can we actually play that without getting sued?
Maybe. Does CBS own it?